Hello and welcome to the Big Ten 2023 football season preview presented by Dumma Sports. My name's Cordell. I got my co-host Sully. Today we're going to be going through all of the Big Ten teams, going through their conference schedule and predicting what they're going to finish with and see who they added, maybe who they lost, and see if they're going to be any good.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good way to put it. Yeah. Because a lot of question marks coming into the season with the transfer portal being used a lot more than in the past. Definitely something that we tried to, hone into a little bit, but it's tough. It's tough keeping up with all the teams, all the players when they're jumping around every season. But this is what we got. So, first team.
Yeah, first team. We got the University of Iowa.
True. So, last season, Deli, obviously wasn't the greatest. As an Iowa fan myself, it was very lackluster and hard to watch a lot of the time. But this year, we're hopeful, and we'll actually do a full breakdown of Iowa in our next episode.
Yeah. And you guys should be hopeful. You guys should be hopeful this year.
I think we should. We don't want to get our hopes up because, we've been down this road before.
I know, but...
Yes. So, last year, as you can see, you have pretty much one of the best defenses.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, 13.3 a game, only behind Illinois. Yeah. But then our offense is almost last.
Yeah. Part of that was the big boy that you had that was under shotgun.
Yeah, under center, Spencer Petras. Yep, he's gone now. Actually, he just left the roster. So,
but thank God.
Yep, we bring in Cade McNamara.
Yeah.
Go here. And, as a Michigan fan yourself, what's your review of McNamara?
He's really good. He's a lot better than Spencer Petras. And I mean a lot better. He's not a 5-star quarterback coming in. So Iowa fans, if you think you're getting an absolute 5-star, anybody that's really, really delusional out there, and I know you're not one of them, but anybody that's really delusional thinks they're getting a 5-star, that's going to be someone like a Bryce Young or CJ Stroud that's just going to come up and make Iowa a huge air raid offense now. That's not what's going to happen. But what is going to happen is now you guys can throw the ball accurately. He's really accurate, especially in the middle of the field. He doesn't have a huge arm. Petras actually probably beat him in just throwing a deep ball and seeing how far it could go. It might not be accurate, but Petras would probably beat him by yardage.
Yeah.
But McNamara, if they did a 10-throw series, McNamara would probably put 9 out of 10 on the money. Petras might put 2. You know what I'm saying? And that's McNamara. He's very, very accurate. He doesn't make dumb decisions. He knows when to hold the ball, take a sack, live to play another down.
Yeah, he's more of a game manager, and that's exactly what that's what we need. You bring in Eric Hall as well. You got Luke Lachey at tight end. Wide receiver is still a question mark. We brought in some new guys. Yeah. Seth Anderson and Caleb Brown from Ohio State, actually. So he's yet to hit the depth chart. We're not concerned, but there's a little hope. I don't anticipate us to turn into a contender for a national championship. You hope you contend for the division. That's the hope. So that's kind of leads us into our schedule preview here. So week 1. You got Utah State. We got them winning. I mean, unanimously. Iowa State on the road.
I got them winning.
Yeah, I do too.
I do too. Winning.
I do too. So you start out 3-0. You beat Western Michigan. Drop one at Penn State. I mean, that's tough. Night game, whiteout game.
Yeah, that's nobody wins that game really, unless you're Ohio State. Even Michigan usually doesn't win that game.
True. Yeah, they had I think when Shea Patterson started, they got the video.
Yeah,
with Mo Bamba.
Yeah,
yeah. They couldn't even get the snap off.
Could not get even the snap off,
awesome.
And it wasn't even on. They don't even have back then with no huddle offense. They did not have a snap count. They had the clap and
can't clap
it was literally just supposed to be the guard tapping the center and then snap the ball. And they still couldn't do that.
No, yeah, super loud. So lost there. Michigan State, Purdue. We got them winning those two. I think they match up well.
Here's where we start to get a little interesting.
Yes, yeah. So you're actually, you're very, optimistic about.
I really like Iowa this year. I'm a Michigan fan, but I really like Iowa in the West.
Yeah, so you got them winning out, beating Wisconsin, Minnesota. I have them losing to Wisconsin. We always suck in Madison. So have them losing that one. We haven't won there in a while. So that's kind of the thought process there. I got us beating Minnesota. You do as well.
Yes.
And until Nebraska. Now,
Right.
as we'll see, we're gonna drop one game outside of Penn State, Wisconsin, and I'm unsure of what game that is. But by looking at the schedule, it's like, I mean, that's the most prone to upset is traveling to Nebraska in a rivalry game. So that's kind of why I rolled with that. They will. I think they'll finish 9-3, and I think that'd be a pretty good year for us. And you have them at 11-1.
I think they finish 11-1. I fully think the only team that has more talent than Iowa than in the Big Ten right now is
The Big Ten West.
Yeah, well, in the Big Ten West, I think they're the most talented team. And their schedule, the only team that has more talent than them is Penn State. And Penn State's, they're kind of a completely different tier right now than Iowa. But Wisconsin, they got a new head coach, and he's apparently trying to make it more air raid.
Yeah.
And I just don't like that for Wisconsin because Wisconsin's never been an air raid offense in the first place. I don't think they have the position players to do that.
No.
Personally, especially right now. Maybe in a couple of recruiting cycles, but not right now. I don't believe. I love Iowa going against new team, new head coaches with new systems. You know what I'm saying? Like, Iowa is so traditional. They do the same thing every single down on defense. They don't make mistakes. They don't hurt themselves. And now they got a quarterback who's not going to put them in a bad position. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Petrus put him in bad positions a lot.
No, he did. He lost us a lot of games,
and McNamara's not going to do that. He's not going to lose you that game. And I think Wisconsin's going to make some errors. And because of this new system they're trying to run, and that's why I don't trust Wisconsin over Iowa right now. And the rest of the schedule, I think, is kind of self-explanatory. The only other one that people might say, why do you have Iowa, is maybe Illinois.
Yeah.
Illinois I could see as an underdog. I could see as a sleeper.
Yeah, and we'll kind of get into them too.
But
yeah, so Wisconsin, going back, they got 6 weeks before the game. They got time to figure it out. I don't see them winning that one, but I guess, since you're picking them to win the West, I mean, do you think they have a shot at winning
the Big Ten title game? No.
Yeah.
No. I think it will be very reminiscent of not last year, but the year before when they made the Big Ten title game.
Yeah.
Very reminiscent. That was Petrus's best year. He had the most amount of weapons, best offensive line back then, best running backs, everything, And if you would have put Cade McNamara in that position, I think they would have competed with that team. I just don't think they have the pieces right now to be similar to that team enough. But they have enough pieces to easily win the West, in my opinion, as of right now. But it's also a comparison to the three big teams in the East, and the East is just another tier ahead of Iowa at this current juncture.
Yeah, they were, and I will say 2020 was actually their best year with Petrus. It was a COVID year. That year the line still was not good. But yeah, I mean, I'll take the optimism. But yeah, I mean, I'm not even going to try to tread too far until we actually jump into their team preview. So
yeah,
but moving on to Ohio State.
Yeah,
here you go. You'll love this one.
Oh yeah.
So I mean, look at their Big Ten ranks. I mean, it's like you had a solid defense, you had a great offense. You just came up short in one game. That's really all it is. And
two.
I mean, technically, conference speaking,
yeah.
you come up short in one game, kind of defines your season. Which I don't know. What do you got to say about Ohio State?
Get big, stop playing soft. That's about all I got to say.
All right. Well,
sorry. I'm a Michigan fan. I don't have sympathy for Ohio State fans. I don't want to look at anything Ohio State wise. I know what they are. I know who they have. Their new quarterback, Kyle McCord. A
lot of question marks.
A lot of question marks around him. A lot of people have said he'll be all right. I don't think he will be. I think it'll be a lot reminiscence of C.J. Stroud, not last year, but the year before in his freshman year, when they played Oregon early in the year. You remember that game?
Yeah, I do. Oregon did win.
And Oregon made him so uncomfortable. And Michigan did the same thing at the very end of the year. And I think that's going to be very reminiscent with Kyle McCord because his offensive line is not good. Like, there's
That's
so
true.
many questions around that offensive line and rebuilding. They lost both of their tackles to the NFL.
Yeah.
And, Johnson, their left tackle, was a great tackle for them for several years. And even he was letting up pressures to C.J. Stroud, and Stroud looked like a great quarterback from the time he got there. McCord, there's a lot of question marks around him. The only good thing is he has two of the best receivers in all of college football, possibly the best receiver to ever play college football.
Marvin Harrison Jr.
Yep. I mean, a lot of people are picking.
And Ibuka.
Yeah. A lot of people are saying Marvin Harrison Jr. is going to be by far the best receiver to come out of college football ever.
So, I mean, ignore the quarterback play for a second. You have, debatably, people have said, and this isn't going to hit you the wrong way, but I'll let you, I mean, we're going to talk about Michigan, but they, potentially have, one of the best running back duos in college football, which does help. It really does help. But again, so looking at the preview for us anyway, of course, you have them winning out and losing to Michigan again.
Yep. I got them winning against Indiana, against, who's this?
Oh, Youngstown State.
Youngstown State. That's who it is. Sorry.
Small font.
Forgot who that was. I got them beating Western Kentucky. I got them.
Notre Dame.
No, Notre Dame. Wow, they play Notre. I didn't know that.
Yeah, they'll have Notre Dame early, and they're going to be solid too. They'll definitely be tested.
Yeah, that might be a good. That's going to be a really good game. Now that I think about that.
Yeah. So,
Notre Dame. They should soundly beat. Truthfully, Maryland and Purdue, Penn State. I have them beating. Penn State, I think, could be a sleeper on that game personally.
Yeah, and that's why I did pick them to win that one.
Yeah, I was about to say you got them. You got Penn State winning that game. Yeah.
It'll be their. I mean, they're tested early with Notre Dame, but this is like
the big.
This will be the bigger one, yeah. And Maryland is no slouch. Purdue is no. I mean, it's Purdue, but it's like
they went to the Big Ten champ game last year.
It's like the tiers of the Big Ten, because it's like Purdue is probably in the middle,
right?
Like at a tier 4. Well, I would say like the 4th tier or 3rd tier.
I'd say
probably
third tier.
Fourth tier.
I
wouldn't throw them in with like Iowa and Wisconsin though.
Yeah, then probably 4th. Because I'd say Michigan, Ohio State are top. Then it's Penn State by themselves.
Yeah.
And then the next tier is probably Iowa.
I'd say Wisconsin. Probably those two.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, you're looking at Purdue is the West version of Maryland. Yeah, I would say. They can be very competitive. But yeah,
they can give them fits.
Yeah, so a couple of, ones you can't just X off the calendar and you still got to play. And yeah, so at Wisconsin, we both have them winning.
Yep. At Wisconsin, both got them winning. At Rutgers, we both got them winning. Versus Michigan State, we got them running. Versus Minnesota, we got them winning. And then at the very end of the year, again, we come across a different little pathway here. You got them winning. I got them losing to Michigan. I think Michigan does the same thing they've done the last 2 years, beat them by over 25. And you can't tell me otherwise.
All right. Well, from someone that doesn't have a personal tie to the game, like you were saying, 2 years in a row, Ohio State gets waxed by Michigan.
Yep.
Now, all the talk is about Ryan Day. You can't beat Michigan. I'm going to guess this is, we said the same thing last year, but I think there's a lot more on the line this year.
There is. But it's going to be hard.
It will be hard on the road.
You got CJ, sorry. You have JJ McCarthy coming back from Michigan.
Yeah. No,
you have the best. I don't care. People can say their running back room's good. Our running back room is great. We have the best 2 running backs in the country. One of which sounds like we're going to actually throw at slot receiver for almost every single play now. So now we're going to have Donovan Edwards as our third receiver who will also come in motion and come in the backfield and run. So we're going to have both Blake Corum and Donovan Edwards on the field at all times.
All right, we're talking about Ohio State here, Deli, not Michigan.
All right, I will stop
that's enough of that.
Talking about that.
Yeah.
But long story short, I see no way possible Ohio State beats Michigan this year. They have to play at Michigan. If it was at Ohio State,
You'd still pick
even
Michigan.
then I'd still say Michigan.
You'd still
But
pick Michigan. They could be playing on like the moon probably, and Michigan be playing their second team. You probably still think they have a chance.
they would.
I don't think so.
That's how good Jim Harbaugh is, man.
All right. Yep. All right. Moving on. Moving on. Nebraska.
Oh, boy.
Quite the
Here we go.
turnaround. I have high hopes for Nebraska.
I'm not feeling quite as optimistic, but we'll see.
What goes down, you'd assume has to come up, right? They've sucked for so long. Like,
They have. I mean, historically they're one of the best teams in the country.
No, of course.
But recently, ever since they joined the Big Ten, really, they've not been near as competitive as what they were prior.
I agree.
And, say what you want, Scott Frost, he was not the
Just didn't work
coach
out, yeah.
they needed. I honestly never understood that hiring. He went from UCF.
He played at Nebraska.
He did play at Nebraska, but he went from coaching UCF, having 2 good years, on a team that wasn't playing traditional Power 5 programs day in, day out, and lost 1 bowl game. I think they barely won another one against like a bad team, though.
Well, either way,
5, I mean,
at the time it was the best hire. It just didn't turn out. So, but now you bring in.
Now you got a great hire.
Yeah.
Matt Rule, I am very high on. I think he's like a Jim Harbaugh.
Yeah, there you go.
And a Nick Saban, where he went to the NFL, it didn't work out. Jim Harbaugh's a little different because he's kind of worked. He's made it work wherever he's gone. But Nick Saban specifically, Nick went to the NFL, it did not work out. Went back to Alabama, and he has owned college football for 2 decades, maybe 3.
And he will for
Almost.
much longer, I think, and then hand the torch off to somebody else.
Yeah, and I agree. But Matt Rule, I definitely see kind of as a Nick Saban type, where it didn't work. He did pretty good in college when he first coached in college. Tried going to the NFL, making that work, didn't work. Now he's coming back to college. I see him turn this program around very quickly. I think with talking about our first episode, about the expansion, with the recruiting that I think Nebraska is going to be able to do now, I truthfully believe Nebraska will probably be in the same tier as Penn State in 2 years.
Yeah, that's a definitely,
maybe 3.
Yeah, I would say that's a big, but it's definitely possible. For this year, though, like every year they do well in the transfer portal.
Yeah,
it seems like every sport, they bring in all these guys. You throw a good team on paper on the field, but it just never can mesh.
Yeah.
So it makes me question, can they establish a program and a culture that's built around winning? And what is Nebraska football, I think, is the biggest question going into the year. You got a new defensive coordinator. He's going to switch the system up. He's going with a 3-5. So how's that going to go?
I think that will go great for them. Nebraska is historically over their time kind of in the Big Ten, they've never really had great defensive lines. Now I think
but was that before?
Huh?
Ndamukong Suh, like that era, would that have been pre-Big Ten or right at the beginning? I
think
right at the beginning.
I think that would have been right at the beginning. But even that one, like, it was Ndamukong Suh, and that was like it.
No, yeah, that's fair.
You know what I'm saying? Like, they might have one good defensive lineman, but they don't have depth, and they don't, especially right now, they don't have depth at the defensive lineman. I don't think they have 300-pounders. I could be wrong.
No, and we could.
That would be something to look up, but.
Yeah. Well, looking also at their offensive linemen, they got a lot of questions. You're bringing in a bunch of new guys again.
Yep. They lost a couple. They lost some people to Michigan too on their defense. We got their linebacker from last year, who is, I think, their only player that was with like a second string Big Ten player last year.
Yeah. Shoot, that was the wrong one. All right, let's roll through real quick.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Still not seeing any 300s.
Well, because we're not.
There's one.
Defensive lineman. They got some big boys.
Okay, they got a couple.
They got some big boys.
They got a 300 on the dot and a 320 and a 310. Okay.
Which I wouldn't even base off that though. Like Nebraska, I think they'll be a lot more competitive this year, and that kind of does carry over into at least my preview. I think they get to a bowl game for the first time in a while. You don't. You have them.
Not this year. I think
that's fair.
I think in a couple years they'll be fine, but not this year. Matt Rule, he's got a lot. It's the problem I had with Matt Rule coming in and this Nebraska nonsense they waited too long.
Yeah.
They waited till after the transfer portal was already pretty much set in stone for him to get great recruits for his type of recruits that he wants to implement in his system. And it was too late to where he lost out on the 2023 recruits, and he's pretty much lost out on all 2024 recruits. Unless they can somehow flip some magically.
They'll probably do well in the transfer portal.
They might do well in the transfer. They'll do really well this year in the transfer portal for what he wants to do.
Yeah. So big games for Nebraska, I would say. Definitely the one at Illinois. I have them winning, you have them losing. That's a divisional game.
Yeah.
That's big. Moving on to Purdue, that's a big one. We got them losing. Michigan State.
Yeah.
You like Michigan State there?
I like Michigan State on that one. Personally.
They got a kind of a tough draw. Maryland's no slouch. I think they give them fits. They ain't beating Wisconsin, but I had them beating Iowa. And again, at home, anything can happen in that rivalry game. Iowa's been very successful as of late, except for last year, which makes me think, hopefully we don't see any trends go the other way.
I think an interesting game here that you brushed over was week 2, Colorado.
It is. I think you might get memed for this one. Colorado is not good.
You say that, but I have heard from several people, Joel Klatt, Urban Meyer.
He went to Colorado.
Joel went to Colorado, but Urban didn't.
Well, also,
but there's been a lot of analysts. Colorado is not deep, so if they get hurt, they're screwed. But if they can keep those players healthy, they are going to be a very good football team. Urban Myers even said this. He goes, I didn't know what to expect when I went to talk to Dion and watch their practices through spring ball. He goes, but Dion has hired an exceptionally great coaching staff and assistant coaches. And that's what it comes down to. Like you were talking about Nebraska and how they always had good transfer portals and even sometimes recruiting classes, but they can never make it great on the field.
Yeah.
That comes down to the assistant coaches and the coaches and teaching the players how to be in the right positions at the right time. And it sounds like Dion has excelled at getting great people around him quick.
Yeah, we'll see. Everyone's hyping him up, but all the books have him at 3.5 over/under wins, so they know something that everyone else doesn't. If money's involved, I'm gonna guess they're gonna roll with what the trends are saying is my big thing.
I need to go put $100 bet on Colorado to have more than 3.5 wins.
That's exactly what they want you to do. That's why they put it there.
I should do it.
Hey, put your money where your mouth is, Cordell.
I will definitely put my money where my mouth is on those.
All right. So that was Nebraska. So again, you had them finishing kind of low.
Yeah, I had them at 3-9, 1-8 in conference. You had them at 7-5, 4-5 in conference.
Which I think that's very fair. I could see 6-6.
Yeah, I think you could probably say the same thing. You could also probably see 3-9.
Exactly. Yeah, that's what's crazy about this team.
Yeah, it's very.
I wouldn't put it past them too.
Nebraska's very interesting. Very interesting team this year. They really don't have in the Big Ten. They don't really have that tough of a schedule because they don't play really great East teams. They play Maryland.
I'll say,
but
in
tough
Michigan
draw.
State, they got a good draw.
They don't have to play Penn State. They don't have to play Michigan, Ohio State.
They do play Michigan.
Oh, they do play Michigan,
and they'll get
yeah, they'll get.
So I mean, they got
Okay, that's yeah.
But yeah, so ceiling for them, I would say 7.
7-5. 7-5.
I got them at their ceiling. You got them probably at their basement.
Yeah, 3-9.
And I don't. Yeah, it's one.
I think that's where Matt Rule has to start and build from there.
Agreed, 100%. So another team. Speaking of the Maryland Terrapins.
Oh, they're an interesting one. They're another one like Nebraska. What do we know? Tualia Tagovailoa.
Yeah,
that's what I know.
Yeah,
and he sounds like from a lot of people he's going to be really, really good this year.
Exactly, and like you're saying, how important the coaching staff is. You probably aren't high on Josh Gaddis, but dude's experienced. He's experienced, and Maryland needed somebody.
I don't know if that's the guy you really want, but we'll see how it works out for him. Whenever he seems to have another co-offensive coordinator, he does statistically better than when he does.
And there you go, bring in Kevin Sumlin,
who
is a big name as well. Obviously they're not crazy by any stretch, bringing these guys in. They're not super high dollar guys like they used to be, but they're still experienced. And I mean, I am pretty optimistic. You got Caden Prather on the outside, incoming transfer from West Virginia, big time for them. Some extra weapons.
That's a good weapon for Tulia. You'll be seeing that matchup happen a lot. Their offensive line, I don't think is too bad. I think they, if I'm not mistaken, they brought back quite a few of them.
Yeah, which would be big. Give him some protection and give him time to throw in. He's got to be smart with the ball. Yeah. That's his biggest thing.
It's like
statistically though, he's like one of the best quarterbacks in the Big Ten. Like the last year, 2 years.
The only problem is he chokes in clutch times.
Yeah, which we were talking about the Michigan game, and you said they blew him out. I'm pretty sure that ended in like 1 or 2 scores.
It did.
So,
they blew him out till the fourth quarter, and Tulia literally, I think they scored 14 unanswered.
I think he did get hurt at some point.
He got hurt towards the end of the year.
Yeah, and that would be the reason for that. Their defense, I mean, when you're playing Michigan, Ohio State and Penn State's going to be a little skewed, so I don't buy too much into the 23.28. They got a solid defense. They'll keep them in a lot of games, but I have them. I guess we're not even that far off again.
No, we're not. Let's go through this schedule preview real quick.
Yeah.
So we got Towson. The first 3 weeks, we both have them both winning against Towson, Charlotte, and Virginia. Virginia could be an interesting game. We'll see what they are capable of. That's kind of their first testament of the year, right? And that one, if that game's close, I don't know if we got the right picks for the rest of the year. But we'll see how that game goes. But we got a winning against Michigan State, Indiana, losing obviously to Ohio State, and then here's a toss-up game. I got them winning against Illinois. You got them losing.
I do. Yeah, I think in Battle of the Trenches, Illinois should be able to dominate in that aspect of it with the run game. They haven't had an incredible rushing offense, for a long time. So I like Illinois in that one. And I'm not super high on Illinois either. But again, some things have to give. And I think this is one where, Illinois will be able to expose certain parts of Maryland's defense that hadn't been tested up to that point, if that kind of makes sense.
Yeah, no, that's fair. But I think coming off that Ohio State loss, like we both know that's going to be a loss.
Yep.
But coming off that, I think Tulia will be so fired up and pissed off, and just they have a bye the week after Illinois. It's going to be an interesting game. I 100% see Tulia just getting pissed off and throwing bombs all day against Illinois.
That's what I'm saying. I'm more so looking for the game after. Like, thank goodness you have a bye week.
Right.
Then you play Northwestern.
Yeah, and that's another bye week. So they get the double bye. Luckiest draw in the Big Ten right there.
Good for Maryland.
Yeah.
Good for Maryland.
And then they have to go play Penn State.
That one might be closer than we think.
Yeah, because they get a double bye. They might as well just look forward to Penn State.
Which could be a trap game. Northwestern, but
no, it's not a trap game. I think you could run an I formation 32 dive against Northwestern all day long, and I think they would still blow them out by 50 this year. It's not good. Poor Northwestern. We'll make fun of them a little bit more as we go.
Very
on.
true.
But
Penn State close game.
I think that'll be a close game, but I think they ultimately lose. Penn State is like we've already established this. They are right behind Ohio State and Michigan, nipping on their heels.
And this year they're going to close the gap a little bit more. Little bit more.
I mean, I think the gap stays about the same to Michigan, but they close it to Ohio State.
There it is again with the Michigan bias.
I am very biased. I love this.
Nebraska. We're going to move on from the Michigan talk.
Yeah. So Nebraska, they easily win.
Should be a good win there.
Michigan, that's going to be a loss. That we both are in agreement.
Yep.
That's a loss there. Just too outmatched. Too much talent versus, unfortunately, not enough.
Jeez, dude.
I am very biased.
I'm trying to keep it PG, but I have some choice words for your love for Michigan that I'll leave out. All right, Rutgers. We're going to move on.
Rutgers, that's another bye week, and they sweep that, and they finished 9-3 according to me, and 8-4 for you.
Yeah, both would be very solid. I think their ceiling is 9-3. That's where you got them at.
And about their basement is 8-4. I think that's about where you got them. I don't see them losing.
6-6 would be
there. Who else would they lose to? Maybe Virginia and Michigan State?
Yeah, Michigan State could give them a run for their money. And again, Nebraska, I don't know about Nebraska.
Yeah, that's
so
true.
they could be tough as well. But yeah, I look at the Michigan State game on the road, and yeah, Nebraska. Both those road games, there's a reason I picked them to win,
Yeah, that's fair.
but they could be traps. So we'll move on from Maryland.
Yep. Let's move on to Michigan
Michigan State.
State.
There we go.
Oh boy.
What do we know about Michigan State?
Well, this is another one that is very interesting. What do we know? They lost everyone. They lost their quarterback, their wide receiver, and their starting running back.
The best wide receiver, Keon Coleman,
Yeah.
was very good. Lost him,
and
Who are you bringing in? But you still got some people picking them.
They got
pretty
a
high.
couple people coming in, but man, I mean, you lose that. Plus, they've lost recruits from
And they
this
already
previous
weren't good.
class, and they weren't good last year at all. I think Michigan State messed up giving Mel Tucker a huge contract.
Yeah, I was
like
just
that.
about to say that.
That was the dumbest thing. And now they're posting all this crap about their new locker room. Have you seen that?
I have not.
Oh my God. Anyone who out there who's seen it knows what I'm talking about. They just refurbished their entire locker room. And it's like, yeah, it looks cool, but you spent millions of dollars on a brand new locker room just to probably go 3-7 or 3. Sorry, excuse me, because we played 12 games. So it would be 3-9.
Or you have them going 6-6.
Oh yeah, okay. I have them going 6-6. That is true, but they also have some very easy competition at points throughout their schedule. But then they also play the gauntlet of the Big Ten. So
as all of them do.
yeah.
All the teams.
So let's go ahead and start it off with Week 1. Central Michigan, easy W. Week 2, Richmond, easy W. If they don't blow out both of those teams, we know what they are. I think at that point, then it's probably going to be about the same as last year. And Washington, that is going to be a very good game. I think they get blown out.
There's a lot of hype around Washington.
I'm very high on Washington.
Both teams are coming 2-0, assuming.
Yeah.
Assuming they both come in 2-0.
Yep.
It could be it's a future Big Ten matchup.
Yep.
It could be closer than we think.
They're at Michigan State for that.
That's what I'm saying. It could be closer than we think.
Closer, but
that's the beginning of the.
I still see Washington. I think they have more talent, and they actually have a quarterback who they know is proven.
Agreed.
So
yeah,
Maryland. We got them losing to Maryland. We got them losing to Iowa. We got them winning against Rutgers, losing against Michigan, and then here we start coming a little split decisions.
Yeah, you were more optimistic about Michigan State than I was.
I'm a little bit more optimistic just because of the couple people they play against. Minnesota, I'm not a fan of this year.
That is true.
I am not a believer. I am not a believer in Minnesota this year. I'm not a huge believer in Nebraska this year either. I've also been very vocal of that. So I have Michigan State beating Minnesota and Nebraska while you have them losing.
Yeah,
both
4
those
in a
teams.
row. Very streaky this year.
Yes.
3-game losing streak, 4-game, and dropping Penn State.
Yeah. And so to finish off the schedule, we got them both losing to Ohio State, both winning against Indiana, both losing to Penn State.
That's pretty fair.
I think that's pretty fair.
You're
I think
probably at their ceiling.
I was about to say I think their ceiling at 6-6, and about their bottom would probably be 4-8 because I don't see them.
Still
I don't
Michigan
see,
State.
Yeah, I don't
see.
see. I don't. Well, I just don't see them losing to Indiana, Rutgers, Richmond, or Central Michigan. So that's about their basement, and then their ceiling is about 6-6.
Yeah, because I do have them really struggling in the crossover games too. Which again, these are all speculation. By the end of the year, we could be looking at, a team that goes 7-5, 8-4, and they pick one up against Iowa or Maryland is definitely a winnable game. There's a lot of winnable games out there for them. But yeah, I like that. Just kind of, you're probably in the middle of the road. I'm basement. Ceiling could be 7.
We'll see.
Very true. Again, I'm not a fan of the Spartans this year, though. All right, well,
Here we go.
I'm going to try to moderate it so you don't.
The Michigan Wolverines.
Which, okay, before we get into this, we are doing a whole thing for Michigan.
We're doing a whole preview of their entire team as a separate episode. So I will try to keep as much of myself for that episode as I can. Well, let's just go over their statistics from last season. They were 9-0, obviously, first in the Big Ten. Points per game, they were second. They were fourth overall in their defense. They finished first in their division, kicking the crap out of Ohio State. And going to their schedule.
Yeah, but what's the difference, you think, from last year to this year? Why are they going to go undefeated again in conference play?
They just have so much talent. Again, I think they have more talent than they had last year. With the transfers they brought in, the people they brought back, the players that have come in from recruiting, they're deeper this year than they were last year. Jim Harbaugh's already said, he's like, this is the best team I've ever had. He thinks that 20 to 25 guys are going to get drafted out of this team, which would be the most from any Michigan team ever.
Yeah.
So they're very deep. They have a very favorable schedule. Very favorable. Obviously, Jim Harbaugh, we probably need to glance over this. He has a 4-game suspension for the beginning of the year.
Whoop-de-doo.
Yeah, he bought a recruit a cheeseburger. Let's suspend him for 4 games. All right,
I guess there's a little more to the story than that.
We'll leave that for the Michigan review. But let's go through their schedule. We got Eastern Carolina, UNLV, and Bowling Green for their non-conference. All of those easy dubs. They're going to win all of those probably by more than 20 points. That won't even be close, unfortunately. Then their next 3, they got Rutgers, Nebraska, Minnesota. Once again, I think they're going to walk through those games. The Rutgers could be interesting. I think Rutgers could be very interesting because Harbaugh will still be suspended for that game. And if at any point something starts to fluke, I'm interested to see. We still have, first and foremost, they still haven't decided who's going to be the head coach for the first 4 games.
They'll make it very dramatic like they always do.
Yeah, yes, they will. But if anything flutters during the Rutgers game, are we going to be able to coach our way out of it like Harbaugh typically does?
I don't think you'll have a problem with Rutgers.
I don't think we will, but we'll see. But again, we all think easy dubs for pretty much the first 6 games. Then we go to the second half of the schedule, which is Indiana, Michigan State, Purdue as their next 3 after that for weeks 7 through 9. Again, we have them winning, I think, favorably. And then we come to the real gauntlet of their schedule. They play the best teams at the very end of this season. Penn State, we both have them winning that game.
Yeah.
But that could go either way, and I'm about to throw up saying that, but it could go either way. Penn State, everyone is saying, is very talented this year. Maryland, we obviously have talked about them. They have Tulia Tagovailoa. If he gets red hot this year, stays healthy, he's got weapons. He's got a good coach. He's got 2 good, pretty solid offensive coordinators who are pretty, pretty ballsy, for lack of better words, and their play calling, and they will like run trick plays. Iowa knows all about Josh Gaddis running flea flickers.
Yeah.
So that could be very interesting. And then Ohio State at the end of the year, that's the one where we're both in not
and we did talk.
Of.
Yeah, we kind of talked about in the Ohio State the Ohio State preview. Sorry. And yeah, I feel how I feel. I just, and it's not in spite of you, I promise. It's one of those things. It's like, I don't see them losing this many times in a row with all the pressure that they will have coming into that game.
Did you see Michigan losing for 2 decades? Did you see that coming?
I did, but
I didn't see
also
that coming.
Michigan,
for 2 decades? No.
Ohio State was on a different level. And they haven't fallen off. They just haven't beaten Michigan. They're still like one of the best programs in the country, top 5 in the country.
That's true.
Michigan
also is,
No, I understand.
Done very, very well. So
no, they've done pretty good. They've done very well for 3 years.
Yeah. And we've recruited at a high level. We have amazing players.
Well, when you buy everyone cheeseburgers, it's pretty easy.
I know. Hey, let me tell you something about a good McDonald's cheeseburger.
I know.
No, let me tell you about a double quarter pounder real quick. All right.
Fair enough.
If Jim Harbaugh bought me one, I'd say, hell yeah, I hope you got suspended for 4 games. Buy me a McDonald's cheeseburger. Why didn't you buy me a Gucci cheeseburger?
Yeah, what a good burger instead of the piece of... All right. Yeah, let's move on. Is anything else you want to close out?
No.
Michigan?
No,
we'll
leave that for the Michigan preview for episode 3 or 4. I can't remember which one that is.
Either way, they'll both come out at the same time.
So
Illinois, back to the West.
Yeah.
Obviously, best defense in the country last year, lose a lot of pieces. Secondary took a big hit.
Oh, yeah,
And-
Devin Witherspoon. That's a huge loss.
Yeah, so that'll be the biggest question mark coming in for Illinois offensively. I could see him digress.
Oh, yeah.
Um,
I think their biggest question is personally I believe their defense they can replace.
Yeah.
The pieces on their defense, I knowing Illinois' coaching staff, I don't think they're going to have a problem coaching their way and having another great defense this year.
Mhm.
But their offense is just there's so many question marks around their offense.
there is.
Like who's their running back? I don't know. Who's their quarterback? I don't know. Who's their wide receivers? I don't know. I know maybe their offensive line had a couple people come back, which is good for them, but other than that, the people that score the touchdowns and get the points for you, who are they?
Yeah, and they still got Isaiah Williams, who came in, as a quarterback, transitioned to wide receiver. He's a great player. Running back, kind of what we were talking about. They're going to a committee backfield with Josh McCray and then Love, I think. So, which McCray, I'm familiar with. It sucks because Iowa, Illinois, it was like there was no offense. It's such a hard game to watch. But what we do know, and something that you might want to hear, Jim Leonard was let go at Wisconsin, defensive coordinator.
Yes.
And brought on Illinois staff as like an assistant defensive guy, like coordinator. He's not the coordinator, but he's like an assistant defensive coach.
Oh, okay.
So it's like some position weird like that.
Yeah, like D-line coach or linebackers coach.
Not even, it's like an overall defensive assistant.
Oh, he could be co-defensive coordinator.
Yeah, but he's not. Like, it's some weird title. We'd have to look it up. But yeah, it's something weird because I was like, what is going on? They'll have a really good defensive line. They got one of the top interiors in the country. So, not
when
worried
you
about
can
that.
recruit from Chicago and recruit from schools that like an academy like Chicago Phillips,
Mhm.
who I played back in high school.
Yeah,
They have some monsters up there.
they do.
They've got some big boys, and Illinois has actually started to really utilize that compared to where they were 6 years ago. They couldn't even get those recruits. You know what I'm
Exactly.
saying?
So it was big for them to
and they've
have a
really
good year.
they've really figured that out, and now we'll go ahead and into their schedule preview and see what we think they're gonna end with.
2-0.
We're about the same.
Yeah,
2-0 off the
start.
start. Kansas could go either way.
Tough
Kansas has a lot of question marks, similar to Illinois. Kansas will be a very interesting game at Kansas week 2. Week 3, Penn State. We got them both losing, and I don't think it'll be close.
Yeah, this one could get out of hand, I think, early in the year.
Yeah.
Still trying to figure everything out. Penn State knows what they have.
Yep.
They'll be fine.
They'll be rocking and rolling and waiting for that game against Illinois to finally get some meat on them bones.
Very true. FAU is no slouch.
Man, you said that in a preview, and I thought you were about going crazy.
No, FAU is no slouch. They got Casey Thompson from Nebraska last year. So they got Power 5 talent.
Yeah.
And if I'm pretty sure, let me just before I even say it.
Tom Herman.
There you go.
Yep.
There you go. So, this is a team they got the Power 5 experience from the staff to
the
player
position
talent.
players.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they could be interesting. That could be an interesting game there. FAU at Illinois.
It'll be
I
underlooked.
still think Illinois has twice as much talent and Division I talent as FAU does. But hey, you know what? Sometimes all it takes is one player.
And Illinois knows a thing or two about losing to bad opponents at home. I would just say that. Well, not recently, but it does
historically.
happen.
It happens
does
a
happen.
lot. Yes.
But yeah, we got the win there for both of us. Purdue, they're dropping.
Yep. Easy. And then we kind of start splitting pretty much for the rest of the schedule here. So Nebraska week 6. I got them winning.
Yeah.
You got them losing.
I do have them losing. I'm really rolling with Nebraska this year. I don't. It's something about what they're building. It's like you turn the page. It's similar to Ohio State, not the same degree. You're turning the page. It's time. Well, I guess not even Ohio State, but you kind of know what I'm trying to get at. Like you're turning the page. You're bringing in something new.
It's like Penn State.
Maybe it'll work this time.
Penn State's trying to turn the page right now and be that top tier. Nebraska's trying to turn the page just to become relevant again
and competitive.
Yeah,
I would agree. But yeah, so Nebraska, I got them winning that one. So Maryland
Maryland, yeah, I got them.
This is
I got
interesting.
I got them losing. I'm a full believer in Maryland simply of the fact that they have a quarterback who is proven. They have good talent on the perimeter, and I think if you're going to beat Illinois, you have to be talented at quarterback and at the perimeter. You have to score points.
You ain't gonna win. Yeah, you're not gonna win playing their game.
Yeah, no, there's no chance. You have to score points against Illinois to win. And then hopefully keep them out of, the end zone yourself, which would be ideal. But no matter what, you have to be able to. You have to be. The one weakness of Illinois with their head coach and the system that he runs now with their defense, the one weakness that they have shown they have is through the air. And I fully believe Maryland will be air raid like they usually are. And I don't think Illinois is going to be able to compete quite as well as what they have been in years past against Maryland, especially last year.
Yeah, I agree, which we kind of touched on with Maryland. I think they're one of the trenches. Just to kind of breeze through here, we're kind of getting a little sidetracked. Wisconsin, both have them losing.
Yep.
Minnesota, you actually have them beating Minnesota. You're not high on them, and we'll talk about them when we actually get to Minnesota.
Yep.
I have them losing against Minnesota because I think kind of the opposite there. Win against Indiana, both dropping Iowa. Northwestern win.
Yeah, Northwestern, you get a Week 12 bye. Congratulations, Illinois.
There you go. So, and that'll sum out Illinois 7-5 for you, Delhi. 6-6 for me.
Yep, I think they make.
Middle of the pack.
I think they make a bowl game. I think they make a lower bowl game this year, but yeah, bowl game nonetheless. I think their floor would be probably about 5-7,
5 wins from the South, bowl game.
5-7, and their ceiling probably 8-4.
Yeah, I would definitely agree. If you could pick off one against Wisconsin or Iowa, be in good shape.
Yeah.
Now we'll breeze through this real quick. Northwestern, we've been kind of giving them some garbage, but
do we really have to do Northwestern? It's just a bye week.
Yeah, we'll go ahead, just touch into them just a little bit, just with what they got going on with their coach. Obviously, with all the hazing stuff going on.
Yeah.
You don't really have a solid head coach right now. From what I heard, their interim head coach is handling everything the best he could, best he can, and that's all you can ask for. Just get through the season, and then hopefully kind of try to
rebuild anything
something.
That's there.
So
they have one good player. I will touch
there you go,
on
Michigan
that.
player.
They have AJ Henning, who is a very good speedster. So they might be able to. They might if they can seal blocks on special teams, they might be able to return a punt and actually score a touchdown this year.
There you go.
That's the way they're going to do it.
We have them here. Rutgers, we had a split. Biggest game of the year for them would be the first week.
First week, big game right there.
I got them winning.
I got them. I got Rutgers winning in that game, and I got Northwestern losing. I don't see Northwestern winning with how much they've been going through.
Which is totally fair. I just think when the world's against you, it's a different type of mentality. When it's like what do we have to lose? I feel like that's the biggest like chip on a shoulder you can get. But they're beating Rutgers. I'm not talking they're going to pull one of the biggest upsets of the year.
Right.
But this one, I think they'll come out with a lot of passion and with everything going on. And then we got UTEP win and
UTEP,
then
we got a win on them, and then we got at Duke week 3. That'll be a loss.
Yep.
So then we got Minnesota loss, Penn State loss, Howard week 6. So they might actually get 2 wins this year.
Yeah, and I had them at 3, and then drop the rest of them: Nebraska, Maryland, Iowa, Wisconsin, Purdue, Illinois. Nothing really much to talk about there.
Nope. I mean, there's not a whole lot. The only thing you could really say about Northwestern is they might make history this year as the worst Power 5 program, worst season by a Power 5 program in the history of college football.
I'll say, well, by our account, they're already doing better than last year.
They're doing better than last year, but they might. UTEP is no slouch, and neither is Howard.
Yeah,
Howard loves playing Power 5s. For some reason, they love playing them. So if they lose to Rutgers, UTEP, and Howard, they could. Their floor is literally 0-12, and their ceiling is 3-9.
I agree. I'm feeling optimistic in terms of Northwestern, but we'll move on. I feel like there's not a whole lot to talk about here. Purdue, here's a big one. You win the West last year.
Yep.
A lot of question mark. You lose a lot on offense. Charlie Jones, Aiden O'Connell. You bring in Hudson Card.
He's pretty good.
Yeah.
I think he's better than O'Connell.
Which is very bold. I guess O'Connell just had a lot of experience.
Yeah.
to be frank with you. New coach out of Illinois. You bring in Brian Walters. He's a younger guy, younger culture. Transfers. I know they got a couple guys from Auburn.
Yeah, they got some very sneaky good transfers this year for Purdue. And they also like Hudson Card, that's a transfer right there from Texas.
Yep.
Card played very good until he got hurt in the Alabama game. That's something people don't remember.
Or Ewers. That was Ewers.
No, it was Card. Card played after him, and he was playing just as good, and then he got hurt.
Oh, okay. All right.
You remember that?
I don't think I watched.
Ewers came out and was firing right off the start. And then he got hurt, and then Card came in, scored for him a couple times, and then he got hurt.
Yeah.
And then it was just defense. And Card stayed in, but he was hurt the whole time. Yeah. They messed up his ankle, and he was limping. He couldn't move.
Yeah. No. And he could be a good pickup for them and be one of those things, maybe build something around him in the next
2 years.
Yeah.
He's got a couple years of eligibility left. So.
But yeah, so some other, I think the biggest thing would be their running back room.
Yeah, Tyrone Tracy Jr. You know a little bit about that guy.
I do. Yeah, he played at Iowa as a wide receiver. He had a great 1 year, pretty mediocre second year. He left to Purdue. Hasn't really been anything crazy for him, so they sent him over to running back. Because he got a lot of action on the outside, jet sweeps type. So they're just going to roll with him at running back. Devin Mockbee had a great year. Yeah. He's an undersized guy, but he is still super talented. And then for the defensive side of the ball, we had already touched on those, big transfers from Auburn, some big guys,
big boys.
Right now, there's a lot of praise for their linebacking core, 5 incoming corners. So a lot of question marks there, but you got guys.
Yeah, they got some dudes. They just have to put the pieces together and make that wonderful cake.
I agree. Jeffrey Emba is one of the transfers. He'll be the guy. He'll be the guy for them on defense.
He'll be that guy.
So I got him having a good season. Their over-under was about 5.5, 6.5, but we both had him over.
I was about to say, we both got him having decent seasons. I think they're going to have a worse season than they did last year, but I don't think they'll have a letdown season like a lot of teams have had over the last couple of years in the Big Ten West, where they go to the championship like Iowa did 2 years ago, like Purdue did last year, and then they have a letdown year. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, unfortunately it could happen just based off their schedule.
It could.
That would be the one thing.
I don't think it'll happen quite as bad.
Yeah. So running through here: Fresno State, Virginia Tech, and Syracuse. 3 solid non-conference.
That's a gauntlet of a non-conference. They're playing all Power Fives,
all sneaky.
Yeah, Fresno State's they're not a traditional Power 5, but they're not necessarily a pushover, right? Like Fresno State, they're in talks to be in the same conference as Washington State and Oregon State now. So that's not a pushover team. Virginia Tech, by no stretch of the imagination, is a pushover neither.
It's hard to play there. It's hard to play in Virginia Tech.
Very hard to play in
Syracuse
Virginia Tech.
Is solid, but I got them winning all 3.
You got them winning. I have them losing to Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech, I think that's a little too much at Virginia Tech. That is going to be probably a midday to night game, and that's going to be tough.
Yeah, I can see them dropping one of those 3, but I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. Moving on, Wisconsin. I have them beating Wisconsin. That's Wisconsin's first big test. I got Purdue taking them out early.
I think Wisconsin will try to make a statement early in the year. And I think how do you make a statement? The person who went to the champ game and won your division last year, you kick the shit out of them.
Yeah.
Pardon my French. So I think Wisconsin will win that game. I think Wisconsin will control that game for almost all of it too.
Yeah, we'll see. There are definitely some kinks rolling out with their new offense, and this would be the game for any team to kind of expose them. And I like Purdue in this one, but again, we'll see.
It could happen.
We'll see. Illinois, we both got them winning.
Oh yeah, easy wins. At Iowa, both got them losing.
Yeah, that's more of like a personal chip on my shoulder that I'm not going to get. They always get us, but not this year.
That's probably going to be the night game too.
Yep. Yeah.
For Iowa this year, and it's hard to play at night at Kinnick. It's an unbelievable environment. So
very true. And then you got to turn around and play Ohio State.
Yeah,
that's a loss.
And then at Nebraska, then you kind of get a little bit softer. Both got to win for Nebraska, or both got to win for Purdue.
And I'll take this next game at Michigan. We both got Michigan winning, and then Minnesota.
Yes. Minnesota were split. I got them winning against Minnesota. You got them losing.
I do. I really like Minnesota this year.
Yeah,
And we'll get into them.
I'm not
There are
that optimistic on
a couple teams
Minnesota.
on the run. Northwestern win, Indiana win.
Yep.
Rivalry game. The Indiana could sneak up, but we'll take Purdue in that one.
Yeah.
But moving on now, because we are kind of
are getting up there on time.
We are. So Indiana, we know nothing about Indiana, man.
Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Everything with Indiana is such a question mark. It's not even funny. Their whole thing. We before we started and jumped on here, we were looking at their roster, at their transfer. They somehow had a top 15 transfer class. Who would think Indiana would have a top 15 transfer class coming in? And we still know very, very, very little about them.
We do. Yeah, they did bring in a new quarterback from Tennessee.
Yep.
Younger guy, mobile, but yeah, this is one we could really eat our words this year. They could, beat a couple of really good teams, but for right now, we're pretty unanimous.
Yeah.
On our picks, or actually, straight up unanimous.
We pretty much picked the same thing on this Indiana team as far as schedule. So going over it, week 1 gauntlet game, Ohio State, not going to be close. Ohio State's going to roll. Week 2, Indiana State. We got them winning. Week 3, we got them playing. They got play Louisville. We got them winning there. Week 4, they're playing Akron. We got them winning that game. And then they start the typical Big Ten season, and they start with Maryland. We got them both losing. Michigan, we got them both losing too. And then week 7, that we think they'll win there against Rutgers. I think that'll be their conference win of the year.
Yeah,
we kind of are both in agreement. If this is going to be their floor and their basement, they're going to win it. They're going to win at least one conference game against Rutgers. And then the rest of their season, they got Penn State, Wisconsin, Illinois, Michigan State, and Purdue, and we got them losing to all of them. I could definitely see
two or so in that stretch, maybe.
Yeah, I could see them beating Michigan State, depending on because of the question marks around them. So I could see them getting another conference win, but that is just such a tough schedule. They play a gauntlet. Obviously they have to play the East teams, but then even the West, you got the returning Big Ten champ from the West Division champ. They have to play from the West, and then they have to play probably one of the best team, two of the other best teams in the West in Wisconsin and Illinois.
Yeah.
So they're not playing pushovers.
They are not, and that would be our main reason for at least this prediction.
Yeah.
It could go either way for them, but this is probably their basement.
Yeah, their basement is probably about 4-8, 1-8 in conference, maybe 3-9 if they lose to Louisville.
Yeah, I was about to say they could drop one to Louisville, but then pick another one up in conference. 4-8 is probably a good record.
Yeah,
bowl game would be that would be the ceiling.
Yeah,
I think
that's what I'm thinking too.
So moving on, Wisconsin. This is a big one.
Yes,
I think a lot of question marks. A lot of people just jumping the gun on them.
Yeah, they're going to an air raid. That is so interesting to me. Wisconsin has always been ground pound and live and die by running the football and play action pass occasional.
Yeah, which is crazy.
Yeah,
but they're trying. I mean, they're trying to do something new. Over there with Tanner Mordecai bringing him in. He's not really great against the Power 5 in the games he played at SMU, but nonetheless, he'll probably be the best quarterback they have had in a long time. Yeah. So, and then you got a couple of good receivers. I know DK. He's a very good receiver. He'll be number 1 target for sure. Braylon Allen. He's one of the best running backs in the country, in the top 5 in the conference at least.
Yeah. Luke Fickell, I really like their head coach.
Yeah, everybody does. Everyone loves him, but I feel like he might get the Scott Frost treatment if stuff goes wrong.
That's very true. That is very true.
You know, he did very well at Cincinnati, but then again, it's like, now it's every week you're going to have better opponents, more opportunities, but you got a great program to start with.
Yeah.
So it'll be good for him. The keys for them, offensive line, they're not really worried about it. The Badgers insiders, they're not worried about it.
No.
But that'll be their biggest question mark. You don't want to turn one-dimensional.
Right.
And I know they're going for this air raid attack, but you got to be able to, stick to your roots. You got a great running back. I don't anticipate they would ever
that would be hard.
With a ton of dropbacks and not running the ball.
If you're up by one touch say you're up by 3, 3rd and 1, this is the ball game. They're going to go back to Wisconsin football and grind that 1 yard out, Yeah,
like when it comes down to it,
Yeah, they're not going to go to strict air raid, and they're going to go to a slant route, So
exactly, and I have them as they do have a legitimate shot to win the Big Ten Conference, just in terms of if what they are trying to do works.
Yeah.
It would
They
be.
got the guys to make it work.
it
It's
would be
whether or
abs-
not
yeah.
the system will work with those guys.
Exactly. It's too new, which kind of reflected in my predictions here. I got them going 9-3. Dell, you had them at 10-2.
I got them at 10 too.
So Buffalo, Washington State, it would be a great game.
Yeah,
Although
week
they
2,
struggled there.
Washington State. That is a good one. That'll tell you how their year's going to go.
Yeah.
I think that'll answer a lot of questions.
I think, and I could see it being a sloppy game.
Yep.
And I'm not even trying to, say the system won't work. It's just a big turnaround, dude.
Yeah.
Like it is. That is
It's hard.
total 180.
Yeah, especially in 1 year after getting a new head coach, turning into a completely different style. If they would have went from a traditional ground and pound like they were to more of a typical NFL style offense, which is a 50-50 pass, 50-50 run style, and then went to maybe 2 years after that went to a air raid.
Yeah.
I that would work, I think, better. But the problem is all their personnel are essentially built and were recruited for a ground and pound and defensive minded team.
Yeah.
Which is what their old head coach wanted. So
yeah. So looking at their schedule past non-conference, we got them going undefeated. You go to Purdue, I got them losing. That'll be their biggest test, other than Washington State, obviously. But at Purdue, conference game opener, that'll be tough. I got Purdue. Rutgers win. Iowa,
I have them. I got them losing. You got them winning.
I do. I like I was saying in the Iowa kind of portion of this episode. It's like we can never get a win.
Yeah, you guys struck at Camp Randall, but I got hope for Iowa this year. I think Cade will lead that team.
Oh, I sure hope so. But then they'll turn around, play Illinois, get the win, consensus there,
and then Ohio State.
That's
just don't even show up.
They're not quite ready yet.
Yeah, just don't show up. Just don't show up.
At Indiana,
play your second strings. Don't get hurt.
Indiana win, Northwestern win, Nebraska win, Minnesota. I got them losing. Minnesota gives them fits. And they're pretty good this year.
I don't see it. I think I'm not high. I'm not near as high. This is going to be a good one towards the end of the episode is when we get to Minnesota. But I am nowhere near as high as you are on Minnesota. I have them winning that game. I think they'll win it easily. I think it'll be by more than 2 touchdowns.
I agree. So we'll move on to there. So 10-2, 9-3.
Yep.
I feel like that's pretty fair.
7-2, 7-3 for conference.
But their ceiling, I would honestly put 11-1. You run the table and lose to Ohio State.
Yep,
That's their ceiling.
I think that's about their ceiling. I think their basement would probably be
mine.
4 loss. Yeah,
8-4.
8-4, 9-3.
I'd say 8-4.
I could see 8-4 with them losing maybe to Illinois.
Yeah, and that would be or dropping another one. That would be the one to drop. Penn State. Here's a big one out of the East.
Oh yeah,
and I'll kind of let you take the reins on here because they're so close yet so far away. It seems like.
Oh, they are, and it seems like they have been for a couple years, but they're still nipping at Michigan and Ohio State. The big thing about Penn State is Sean Clifford was not. He was an okay quarterback, wasn't great, but everyone from Penn State this year is saying that Drew Aller is 10 times better and 10 times the quarterback that Sean Clifford ever was. And if he can become a great quarterback, an accurate quarterback, Penn State's got some dudes.
They do.
They have got some dudes. They got a great 1-2 punch at running back. They have a pretty good tight end. They have wide receivers, and they have a pretty solid defense.
Always do. If you look, 5th in the conference last year, but then again, it's skewed because you got to play those teams.
Because you got to play Ohio State and Michigan ran over them last year.
Yeah, which has been their thing. They'll sometimes
they just randomly to Michigan, like every couple years, they just get ran over.
Or like the game that sticks out to me was a couple years ago is when they played Illinois, and Illinois beat them by running 8 linemen.
Yep.
The whole game. And
that
one went to like 9 overtimes or something crazy.
Yeah, that was ridiculous.
But
let's go to their schedule preview. So
10-2, 11-1. I'm thinking this will be the year Penn State
you think this
gets one of them.
Yeah.
I think they get one of them. And I think it's Ohio State this year.
I'm not quite thinking that, but we'll see. So going through their schedules, week 1 through 3, they play West Virginia, Delaware, and Illinois. Easy wins all around. All 3 of those are going to be easy wins. Illinois might give them a fit or two because they play them
Just
so
that run game.
early.
Yep, just that run game too.
And they're so physical up front. It'll be interesting to see how Drew Aller reacts to it with being a first-year starter.
I agree.
Then, and they kind of have a 1-2 punch here because they go from playing at Illinois to playing versus Iowa. Now, obviously, that'll be the whiteout game at Penn State. But, you're playing the 2 best defenses in the West, right? Yeah. You better be prepared. If you're Drew Aller, you better be able to throw the ball. And West Virginia is really no pushover either. They're a Power 5. They're not great, but that'll be
that Big 12, that Big 12 offense.
Yeah, that'll be interesting. That'll be interesting to see. But then they get a double bye with playing Northwestern, and then they have the actual bye.
No, and then UMass, so 3 byes. In accordance to you.
Sorry, yeah, 3 bye weeks in a row. Who is making these schedules, giving the teams double byes? Jesus.
You have to have a bone to pick with the Big Ten.
Yeah, I'm gonna have a. Gosh.
But then you turn around, you play Ohio State.
Yeah, so after the 3 bye weeks, they play Ohio State, and then we're 50-50 on this. I have them losing to Ohio State. You got them winning.
Yeah, Ohio State will be the team to figure it out later in the year. Like you're saying, your questions are the quarterback.
Yeah, Kyle McCord.
In their offensive line, this would be the game they get exposed.
It could be. But they're at Ohio State. I don't think that would be the game. I could see it earlier in the year.
I think this will be the game. I mean, Penn State. You're looking at the best Penn State team in the last couple of years. And that's saying a lot with Ohio State having a quote-unquote down year as they're projecting.
That's true. Okay, so then we go week 8, week 9, Indiana, Maryland. Got them easy winning. Week 10, Michigan. We both got them losing unanimously. I think there's just, I'm a Michigan fan.
We know.
Yeah. So we'll go ahead and skip that. Week 11, Rutgers, and week 12, Michigan State. We got them winning of that too. I think Penn State's basement this year is 3-loss.
9-3.
9-3. Ceiling.
Drop at Iowa, maybe?
I'm thinking Iowa or Illinois.
At Michigan State, too. That's a trap game. For some reason, that one sticks out to me. I don't know why.
Just there's so many questions around Michigan State.
There is.
And it seems like Mel Tucker always gets somebody. You know what I'm saying? Like every year he gets one team he beats that's like kind of good, and everyone's like, "Oh, Mel Tucker's so good," and it's like,
that's why he got paid. That's all that matters.
That's true. He got his bread. He got his bag. He got his bag for it.
If he can go in against Penn State, that would do it for him. Or any of the three.
That's true.
But yeah, 10-2, 11-1. I mean, could be a great year for Penn State. I think I'm projecting a good year.
I think they definitely get a New Year's Six bowl.
Yep.
So
100% agree. All right, now your biggest.
Yeah, this is the one where we are off so bad it's not even funny.
Yeah,
we are so out of sync on Minnesota. Minnesota is weird. Go ahead.
All right, I'll take the reins here. Last year, disappointing end to the season, but you're a solid, great team. I mean, Kaliak Manis, his first year.
Oh man.
I mean, it went a lot better than probably a lot of people would have thought. Mobile quarterback, great arm. He's got some weapons around him. You got Ottman Bell for his 7th year. I don't know. I like it. For me, it's hard to count them out when every year, they're the most. I don't even know how to put this. It's like the forgotten
team,
forgotten. I wouldn't even say sibling, but yeah, it's like everyone.
Yeah, that's true.
Kind of counts them
out.
They're
the middle child. They're the middle child.
They're always in the mix. For the West, and this is the year. I mean, I'm not saying they will win the West, but they'll just keep doing what they're doing because PJ Fleck's still getting paid.
That's true. PJ Fleck's a great coach. I have no problem with PJ Fleck. He's a great coach. There's just a lot I just don't know about Minnesota, and I just don't trust them.
Yeah, I mean, offensively, yeah, like you're saying, Ottman Bell.
And they got a tough schedule. They got a really tough
They do have a tough schedule. Brevin Spanford, big body tight end. Big body. He'll be a big target for them. Tyler Nubin, defensively, he'll be their guy. Offensive line, they usually don't have issues. They always have a great offensive line.
But they do have 3 new starters.
They do.
That's a lot of questions.
It is.
On the offensive line. You better mesh that quick.
I bank on the the coaching over there. You could say the same. I hate to talk about it with Iowa. They're very good. You know where they're going to be good at and probably where they're going to be bad at, and that's just due to their coaching. I don't see any difference for Minnesota and their offensive line. Again, the schedule preview will kind of say how we are.
That is tough.
Different.
Well,
we're pretty unanimous in the beginning.
Yeah, pretty unanimous in the beginning. Week 1 and week 2, we both got them winning. Week 3, we both have them losing to North Carolina. North Carolina is a great team, and obviously they're not a Big Ten team, but they have a Heisman-level quarterback. Minnesota doesn't have that. But, so you're pretty unanimous through week 6. Week 4 and 5, we both got them winning, Northwestern and Louisiana. And then week 6, we got them losing to Michigan.
Which will be closer, I think, than a lot of people are saying.
You're thinking that, but
I am.
We'll see how that goes. I think Michigan wins by 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, this will be the team to keep an eye on all year.
And then from here, we are complete polar opposites. So
seems like it.
Yeah,
I got them picking us off at home.
Yeah, you got them. I have Iowa winning and Minnesota losing that game at Iowa. And then week 8, I got them losing again to Michigan State. You got them winning.
Yeah, probably by, like you're saying, about 2 touchdowns. I don't think it'll be very close. Okay, they'll run the trenches there.
That one I might want to switch over, right? Because there's so many questions around Michigan State. I think Minnesota probably would win that one.
Yeah,
now that I think about it a little bit more.
So
that
potential flopper, 6-6.
Yeah, that one I might switch and make them even for the year. But week 9 versus Illinois, I got them losing that game. Illinois. That's a good defense to go against, and with the offensive line, if that doesn't mesh for Minnesota, they are going to have some trouble against Illinois. Their defensive line is no pushover.
Oh, definitely. They're one of the best in the country.
So,
and that's just to say, you rely on your talent on the outside, and I think Cali McMahon you'll know his name by about week 3, week 4. I really do. Okay. Purdue win. Both of us got them taking the win there. Ohio State both lost. It's so hard to pick against them. You don't want to be cliche, but it's like it's just tough.
With Michigan and Ohio State, it's hard. It's going to come down between them and maybe Penn State.
Yeah, and maybe I am trying to be different because I got to beat Wisconsin too.
Yeah, you got to beat Wisconsin. But I don't think
they've had so much success against them in the past. It's always a trap game, and they seem to always drop it. Yeah, that last game of the year trophy rivalry game.
This year more than anything, they play Ohio State week 11 and then Wisconsin week 12.
Exactly.
So they're going to get pissed off because Ohio State's going to go beat the crap out of them for 45 minutes, right? Or 45-minute game time, and then a couple hours during the day.
Oh yeah,
right.
Yes.
And so they're going to get really pissed off really quick. And they're going to have a pissed off week of practice. When you have a pissed off week of practice, I'll tell you this from experience, nobody is making jokes. You were running constantly. Every coach is pissed. If you make a joke, you're going to run around the field for 45 minutes.
Yeah, because you're mad.
Yeah, because you're gonna get your butt chewed, and you're gonna get in line, and they're gonna figure their crap out. So that Ohio State game, I think Ohio State will expose any weakness they have that Wisconsin would want to exploit to where Minnesota can patch it up before the Wisconsin game.
Okay, so in terms of, I guess you're not a big fan of Minnesota, and they might not win that game. I'm going off of pretty much kind of like I was talking about, quarterback play, good wide receiving core, good offense. They always have a solid defense, good line. Yeah. That's my thing. It's like Wisconsin light. But this year there's too many questions around Wisconsin. That's my ordeal with that. But basement, I would say 7-5 for me would be their basement. And for you, I think you're at your basement.
I think it's 5-7.
Yeah,
5-7 easy. I think, honestly, I think it still even would be 5-7, even if I flip my pick for Michigan State because I'd flip my pick for Purdue.
Yeah,
so I think what I have is their absolute basement. I think their ceiling right now is 9-3.
If they miss a bowl game, I will buy you a McDonald's cheeseburger.
Thank you. I would love that.
I'm just saying. I'd buy you a couple.
Awesome.
Because it's not happening.
I love McDonald's.
Hey, Rutgers.
Yeah, we're going to end it off with them.
Well, yeah.
Might as well skip through because it's just a bye week.
We won't skip through. Rutgers, let the numbers do the talking.
Yeah, so they're
Last in
13.
everything, pretty much.
Yeah, they're last in the Big Ten. They finished 7th in their division.
That is 7th. That is last. Well, 13th. I mean, 13th. The only team below them was, I think, Indiana in
Northwestern.
defense, and then Northwestern offense last year. So again,
There's not a lot.
2 and 10. I mean,
yeah,
not a lot to talk about. I feel like if you watched this far into the video, you can click off now.
Yep, their ceiling's
go over
3
this.
and 9. Their basement is
1 and I would say. They'll get one win.
Yeah, we'll give them 1 win against Temple.
Yeah,
I think we're
or
in
Wagner.
agreement. Yeah, or Wagner. They're gonna go over to
Wagner.
Russia. Yeah, they're gonna go over Russia and fight Wagner real quick.
Yeah, pretty red on the right side. No, I mean that is actually not a. Yeah, no, that sucks.
Yeah,
That
no,
sucks.
they're good. Northwestern. They could pick one off early in the year. That would be kind of an interesting game to watch, truthfully, because of probably how bad it's gonna be.
Yeah.
But Temple, we both got them thinking they're gonna win. Virginia Tech, they're gonna get rolled with. Michigan, they'll get rolled with. Wagner, they'll probably win, but who knows? It's Rutgers. Wisconsin losing, Michigan State losing, Indiana losing, Ohio State losing, Iowa is going to be a loss. Penn State's going to be a loss. Maryland's going to be a loss, and Rutgers will finish 3 and 9 to possibly
2
1 and 11.
All right, that's it, dude.
Yeah, that is
all 14 teams.
broke down for this
Something
whole
like that.
season. We do this next year. You know how long it's going to take because those extra 4 teams. We're going to have so much more to talk about. It's not even
You'll
going
have
to
to
be
divide
funny.
it up.
Yeah, we're
Which
going to
we
have
could
to
have
do.
divided up this time East and West, but I like this format.
Yeah.
I'm thinking what we'll do is actually cut up each team and upload them separately as well.
Okay.
Just to, for you can just team by team.
Yeah,
take
just
a
a
look
quick
there.
reel.
I think that'd be a good way to go. But appreciate you tuning in. This was the Big Ten football preview presented by Dumma Sports.